just go? Okay. All right, welcome. I'm Catherine McFate, Center for Effective Government, and we're gathered here for our 5th Witness Wednesday to lift up the voices of the long-term unemployed and tell Congress and the American people how the lack of emergency assistance is undoing the lives of these unemployed Americans. There are still 3 million Americans who have been searching for work for at least 6 months with no luck and no access to unemployment benefits. 9.5 million Americans are jobless and looking for work today, 5 years into this recovery. 7.5 million people are working part-time but want full-time work, and another 6 million don't have jobs and have given up looking. If they were still searching, the official unemployment rate would be 9.5%. There are still 2 job seekers for every job opening. In short, the unemployment crisis is not over. For the long-term unemployed, things are getting desperate. If you're over 55 and unemployed, things look very bleak. Almost half of all the unemployed workers over 55 have been unemployed for more than 6 months, and the average duration of a spell of unemployment for them is almost a year. When the emergency unemployed compensation was approved in 2008, under the Bush administration, the unemployment rate was 5.6% and the average spell of unemployment was 4 months. Today, the national unemployment rate is still 6.1%, and the average spell of unemployment is almost 9 months. 6 years ago, extending unemployment benefits was not a partisan issue. It shouldn't be today. These are Americans. They've worked hard. They've supported their families and communities. They paid their dues and paid their taxes, and now they need our support. We have another wonderful array of committed, caring people who are standing with the unemployed today and reading their stories. And we're going to start with the sponsor of the new bill to extend emergency unemployment benefits, Representative Kildee.
Thank you. Well, I think one message needs to be said loud and clear. And I know I speak for my colleagues in the Democratic Conference. We are not giving up on extending unemployment compensation. We are not going to give up. And we also have to be very clear. There is one thing that stands in the way of passing federal unemployment extension. One thing and one thing only. And that's the Republican leadership in the House. It's not the majority, because a majority of the House of Representatives would vote to extend unemployment. But it's the leadership that refuses to allow the House of Representatives and the American people to have their vote on the floor of the House as to whether or not we should help those who stand to lose everything that they've worked for just because they've hit a patch of bad luck. And that's what we're talking about today. That's what this question is about. If this Congress has time and somehow believes it has the resources to pass $500 billion in tax extenders that are not paid for, we can help out those Americans who are struggling between their last job and their next job with a little bit of help. It's the right thing to do. We should do it today. One of those people is Star Ann from my district in Otisville, Michigan, who was recently laid off from her job. She writes, "I became recently unemployed as the job I've held for the past 15 years was eliminated. I've been working since I was 15 years old. I have a college degree, excellent work reviews, and a wide range of work experience over the past 46 years. There are 2 people in my household. Both are 61 years old. One is working, one is no longer working but trying to. The one still working has no way of making up this loss of income. Our vehicle has a for sale sign in the window, and it is listed on the internet. If it's sold, getting a job and keeping it will be even that much harder." Her story is just like many others. This Congress needs to act. Thank you. We have been joined by our wonderful leader, the Democratic whip, our friend Steny Hoyer, who's really been leading the charge on this. Steny, thank you.
But they'd already been joined by the wonderful Jan Schakowsky and Rosa DeLauro, and now Chris Van Hollen. I am pleased to be here. You know, I'm a Baptist, and from time to time the preacher will say, "I want a witness." Amen. I want a witness. And what the preacher means is he wants somebody to get up and say, amen. What you say is what we need to be saying. The issue, we had a press conference on the front of the Capitol setting forth an agenda. And the issue for the American people is, are the people in this house on their side, or do the people in this house say to them, you're on your own? That's the issue. Unfortunately, the leadership in this house has told people who, through no fault of their own, have lost their jobs and can't find another one, you're on your own. You're on your own. You worry about it because we're not worried about it. We don't have time to deal with it because we're doing tax cuts for the wealthiest people in America. You're on your own. Catherine, thank you very much for your leadership on this issue. And Dan Kildee, what a hero he is, being on the side of those who need an advocate. I want to thank him. And I want to thank the Center for Effective Government for organizing these Witness Wednesdays. What a wonderful, alliterative, but meaningful and important effort to draw attention to the hardships experienced by those who have lost their emergency unemployment insurance. Again, through no fault of their own. Republican obstruction in the House has led to over 3 million Americans being cut off from this assistance while they continued to look for work. Now, why do I say Republican obstruction? Ladies and gentlemen, in that House, there are a majority of the members who would vote to pass an extension of unemployment insurance. But the obstructionism is that they will not bring it to the floor because their concept is you're on your own. This is simply reprehensible. These are responsible Americans who are trying to find work and are facing the toughest job market we've seen in decades. The American people need a Congress on their side, which is what Democrats are fighting for. Not the Republican Congress we have now, which, as I have said so often, simply says to all the American people, you're on your own. In my district, I've heard from a number of Marylanders who are facing very difficult challenges trying to make ends meet. One of them, Kevin Wingo from Bowie, Maryland, just down the road here, just a few miles. He's a 20-year veteran of the Air Force who served on Air Force One. After his retirement, he worked for 10 years in the private sector and was laid off in 2011. He then had a 1-year contract that wasn't renewed last August. Last August, almost 11 and a half months ago, laid off, been looking for work, worked all his life, and can't find a job. He also has a daughter who will be going to college soon and worries that his employment situation might affect her bright future and their future. He wrote, and I quote, "I have given a majority of my life to this country, and all I ask is that they show me the same respect and help a veteran who is at the end of his rope." Too many Americans believe they're at the end of the rope and they're alone, that they're on their own. Witness Wednesday is to say to all of them, and to say to the leadership of that House, that's not what America is. In America, we're in this together. We're there to reach out, to lift up, to help, and make a difference. We need to be witnesses this Wednesday and every day. Thank you very much.
And our next speaker is David Beckman, president of Bread for the World.
I really appreciate the members of Congress who are standing with us. I'm David Beckman from Bread for the World. I'm passionate about jobs and employment because it's always the case that the best way to solve the problem of hunger is a job so that a family can put food on the table for themselves. And in this economy with high unemployment, the fastest way to reduce hunger in America is to reduce the unemployment rate. If we can get the unemployment rate back down to the level of 2007, that would reduce the number of people in this country who live in families that run out of food by 25%. just getting the unemployment rate back down to where it was in 2007. I want to read a story from a woman named Pamela who lives in Glen Springs, South Carolina. She says, "I will be 62 in December. I began working when I was 19, and I was fortunate to be able to leave the workforce for 24 years to raise my children. After a devastating divorce, I went back to school to get a paralegal certificate. I was also caring for my invalid mother while in school and also when I returned to the workforce in 2010. In July 2013, I was hired at the courthouse in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and worked there until December, when it was determined that my job skills did not match the requirements for a senior clerk in the clerk of court's office. I have had no income since December 2013, except for limited financial help from family members and friends, selling some jewelry and furniture, and becoming a virtual recluse. I apply for jobs and never hear anything back. I'm doing everything I can to survive. I'm behind 3 months on my home mortgage and can barely pay any bills. I applied for food stamps and I am so grateful I get those, maybe because I'm considered elderly. I did reapply for state unemployment benefits after June 2014, and I'm getting those benefits now since it's a new year and I did qualify. I'm so behind, though, that I will lose my home. I have never been in a situation like this in my life. It's a miserable existence, and I am thankful that my children are grown and living away from me so that they cannot see what this has done to me. I feel so defeated." We hear you, Pamela.
Congressman Chris Van Hollen.
Thank you. I'm sorry I was a little late. I was with Dan Kildee in a budget committee hearing with the head of the Congressional Budget Office. And I don't know if Congressman Kildee mentioned this, but he asked Dr. Elmendorf, who's our nonpartisan professional, about whether or not extending emergency unemployment insurance would help the economy for everybody. And Dr. Elmendorf said yes. He said yes today, and he said yes when we asked him months ago. And we're here today to take that fact and information and put a face on it, because we know that these struggling families need a little help because they're out of work through no fault of their own. And we know we're not only helping that family, but all the families and businesses in the surrounding community. But until people really hear the stories, they see this as an abstract budget issue as opposed to a human issue. And so I do want to read the story from a constituent of mine, Joseph, who lives in Chevy Chase, Maryland. And this is what he wrote. "I was a defense contractor working at a university. The effects of sequestration terminated my contract, and I was laid off in June 2013. At 58, I was struggling to find employment. My unemployment insurance lasted until December 2013. By that time, I had to take out my retirement benefits. I paid a penalty, but I needed that money to pay medical bills, pay for medications, and keep my house. In the meantime, my credit cards were being used to pay bills and keep the family afloat. For this reason, I had hoped that the unemployment insurance would be retroactive, but this never happened. At age 59, I have now found a job paying $10 per hour. I had been making $26 an hour as a defense contractor. I thank God that I have a wonderful wife who struggles with her 20-hour-a-week job and who encourages me not to give up. Sadly, I am not the only ones. There are millions like me." That was Joseph's story. We are here today for Joseph and the millions like him. And I thank all of you for participating.
Alex Lawson of Social Security Works.
Thank you. My name is Alex Lawson. I'm the Executive Director of Social Security Works. I'm here today to stand in solidarity with all of our leaders who are working so hard to correct something that's so wrong that it verges on being un-American. It's taking away the earned unemployment insurance benefits of millions of Americans who are looking for work. They are job seekers. We know that unemployment insurance encourages people to do what they want to do, which is find a job. I'm here because we are facing a retirement income crisis. And the number one thing we can do to bring that crisis, to bring it down, is to get Americans back to work. And extending unemployment insurance is the best way we can encourage people and help them along to find the jobs that they're looking for. So I'm going to read a story. It's very important, as was mentioned, that everyone understand that this is real people we're talking about, and real people's voices need to be heard in this town. And so this is just a fantastic event that I have to say thank you for pulling together to make sure their voices are heard. This is Doris from Egg Harbor City, New Jersey. My hardships are basically the same as most. I am 58 years old. I have been trying to find employment for a year with no success. I live in New Jersey and I have applied for jobs as far away as North Carolina in my respected field. At the time with my unemployment, I could have made a move and stayed with family. Now that's not possible. I am left without money to buy the basics: toilet paper, toothpaste, soap, etc. I don't eat every day because when I get a few dollars from friends and family, I make it stretch as far as I can. But when I don't eat, I can't take my insulin. My family keeps my phone on so I can communicate in case of emergency. I have no lights. I have no cable. My water will be turned off in 2 weeks if I don't come up with money to pay for it. What foods I have are kept in a cooler on ice. Please help us. And to Doris, I say, we hear you, Doris. We stand with you.
Congresswoman Rosa DeLoria.
Thank you very much, Catherine, and thank you and the organizers of this event. And I want to say a thank you to my colleague Dale Kildee and to all my colleagues who are here today and who are speaking out on behalf of those families that are in need. And when you hear the stories that you've already heard, you have to say to yourself, Congresswoman Schakowsky and I are standing next to one another, and you kind of gasp. You gasp. Who are we? What is this nation about? Where are the values of this great country? That we would leave people by the side of the road as roadkill and not do anything to help turn their lives around. To the advocates who are here today, thank you. Push the Congress to do the right thing, to pass that long overdue extension of unemployment benefits in a tough economy. The House Republican majority likes to pretend that these budget debates are just about numbers. They are not. They are about choices, they are about values, they are about people's lives. And take, for example, Heather, a woman who contacted my office from Milford, Connecticut, who is now unemployed after a lifetime of work. And she wrote, and I quote, "I've lost my life savings, my 401k, and every cent I own, trying to keep up with paying my bills. This week was my last unemployment check, and I now will have no income. I've worked all my life, often 2 jobs. I have 2 kids in college, and as of next week, I will have no income at all. I have applied for hundreds of jobs. I am either overqualified or they won't even consider hiring me because my previous salary doesn't compare to the minimum wage. Next, I will lose my house. I will have to file for bankruptcy, and I will have to depend on welfare rather than programs that help people actively looking and who are willing to work. There are millions of men and women just like Heather all over America. And every week that we do not act, another 72,000 men and women lose their unemployment insurance all across the country. Now listen to Chris Van Hollen and the question that Dale Kildee asked, and not too many years ago in the height of this recession, I remember asking Mark Zandi, another economist, actually someone who would work for John McCain, how do we stimulate our economy? How do we get back on track again? He said there were 3 ways: extend the unemployment benefits, extend the food stamp benefits, and make the a refundable tax credit do what they were intended to do. On all 3 of these issues, this Republican majority says no, no. So they have no interest in turning this economy around. Families are looking for work. They played by the rules. They're living on the edge. They're losing their homes, their possessions, their health, and many are going hungry. And the House Republican majority is content to do nothing. Senate passed a bipartisan extension of benefits. My colleagues and I have signed a discharge petition to force a vote on UI, but the Republican majority says, suffer some more, families. You deserve it. You deserve it. It's wrong. It's a dereliction of our duties. It's immoral. It's an abdication of the responsibilities that we have to the American people who voted to put us here to work on their behalf. As far back as the Eisenhower administration, Republicans and Democrats have routinely supported unemployment insurance. That's because those benefits help families in need, get them back on their feet, puts money into the hands of those who will spend it right away, gets this economy moving again. No more waiting. No more waiting on behalf of Heather and the millions of vulnerable Americans looking for jobs. We need to say to the Republicans, stop fooling around. Stop fiddling while Rome burns, while these folks have nowhere to go and who find themselves destitute. Join us in passing an extension of the unemployment insurance. We hear you, Heather. Understand you are not alone. We're fighting as hard as we can, and you should know that we stand with you. Thank you.
Jaya Peterson-Lent from Generations United.
Thank you to the Center for Effective Government for this important event and to the members that are here to show their important support for this issue. I'm Jaya Peterson-Lent with Generations United. We are a national organization that's committed to common ground among older and younger generations. And because we believe we are stronger together, we look for solutions that unite and connect the generations. Unfortunately, one of those issues that connect generations is the issue of unemployment and the challenges of the current job market. Large numbers of younger Americans are graduating from high school and college and returning to live with their parents because they're unable to find work. At the same time, older Americans find themselves laid off after extensive job careers, and they're struggling to re-enter the workforce, often facing ageism or taking low-paying jobs that don't engage their extensive work history, skill set, and wisdom. We invite Congress to support innovative solutions that help older and younger workers by promoting labor market services and public service opportunities that accelerate on-ramps for younger people to launch into full-time careers, and that fully engage the talents of older adults, offering a range of opportunities that contribute as they age. And for those that are ready to retire, to ease the transition out of workforce to retirement that is planned and secure. And then there are those in the middle. We know that there are cases where older and younger people are finding themselves needing to work not only to support themselves, but also for other family members who rely on them when they lose their income. A recent study by Generations United and the Alliance for Children and Families found that 61% of adults provide support to extended family members to meet basic needs like housing, food, clothing, and transportation. These families are experts at pulling together to support each other in hard times, but they need public policies to join with them to help meet the basic needs when unexpected hits and when times are hard. They need policies that offer ladders to job opportunities. Families like Jill's. And this is her story, Jill from Reisterstown, Maryland. Hello, my name is Jill. I am a 47-year-old single mom with 2 grown sons. One is 20 and one is 27. I was laid off in October 2013 due to budget cuts. My unemployment benefits ran out in April, and I was just getting by with the help of those benefits. My sons had to step up and help me pay all of my bills in the house. Since April, I've had no income coming in. I've exhausted whatever savings I had, which wasn't much because I worked paycheck to paycheck. I have no money at all. I have no other family to turn to, and the only thing keeping us afloat right now is the income that my 2 sons have coming in. It's humiliating to me to have to turn to my 2 sons to support myself. I've always worked and depended on no one to care for myself. I've sent out hundreds of resumes, and for the small amount of actual interviews I've had, I've been told that I'm overqualified, or because I have a bachelor's degree, I must stay home. I must not stay with the employer, they assume, once I find another paying job. I want to work, I always have worked, but I can't get a job, and now I can't even get my assistance. I've fallen behind with every bill that I have. My son pays for my phone just in case I do get a call, but it rings off the hook all day with calls from bills collectors to the point that I want to turn it off. But I can't because I'm afraid it may be an employer calling for an interview. I'm behind 2 going on 3 months car notes. All of our credit cards are at the max. My credit is shot, and the only thing that I paid last month was rent, which my sons scraped together and paid. In another week, it will be a new month, and the rent and my car note will both be due. I ask that representatives in Congress please push the Renew Unemployment Insurance with retro. We need retro benefits in order to get caught up. We hear you, Jill, and we stand with you.
Congressman Stephen Horsford.
Thank you. It's great to be here with my colleagues and with those who are pushing this Congress to act. We just left a group of us hearing on the House Financial Services Committee where we heard from the chair, Janet Yellen of the Fed, talking about the state of the U.S. economy, and we talked about the need to increase wages for the middle class, to address the housing crisis, and to provide more access to capital for small businesses that are the engines of our economy. But yet it's on the same day that Speaker Boehner and House Republicans are wasting time and taxpayer resources suing the president. And so today our message is, Speaker Boehner, do your job, or get out of the way and let us do the job that the 4 million Americans who've elected us want us to do, to pass unemployment benefits for deserving Americans. And I want to share the story of one of my constituents, Sheila from Las Vegas. She says that I am 65 years old. I have a college degree, but I cannot find a job because of my age. I cannot afford my home, my car, or even the little things that you use every day. I have worked since I was 15, and now I owe money on my credit cards and to my family, who are also having a hard time. I want to work. Without a job, I feel like I have nothing to live for now. Please help the people. We have worked for a better life. Politicians in D.C. got to enjoy their holidays while we were wondering where our next meal was coming from. Well, to Sheila, we say we hear you, you will not be ignored, and we are ready to act. Thank you.
Thank you. John Fugazi, Neighbors Helping Neighbors.
Thank you. I founded a volunteer job search group 3 years ago, Neighbors Helping Neighbors. We have 1,600 members, and these people are all out of work. Many of them are long-term unemployed, and they help each other back to work. We've helped 400 people find their way back to work. I myself am out of work again after founding the group. I had found a job. I'm back out of work. I've lost my house. I've lost all my savings. I've lost all my retirement. But I'm not here today to talk about my story. I'm here to talk about the story of the other 3 million people who are impacted by the non-extension of benefits. The story I'm reading is from Donald from Fulcroft, Pennsylvania. He says, I'm over 55 and I'm finding it difficult find it difficult to land a job. Every job opening is overwhelmed with applicants, like a cattle call. I have training, but the sequester has prevented my hiring for my job certification. Financially, I am up to my nose in debt. This has put an enormous strain on my relationship with my fiancée. I am still hopeful to the politicians in DC. Please help the people you were sent here to represent. And I just have a short message, and if my glasses would work, it would be even better. But I have a message to deliver from all the people I represent and their families. This impacts their families too. This is just not the 3.3 million. And I'm going to use a famous line from President Reagan. And I need to repeat it here today because I'm very frustrated by what goes on in the building behind me. And when I'm going to address it to the Congress leadership, I'm going to say, take down that wall. The wall between parties, you need cooperation. The wall between this Congress and the office of the President. But most importantly, the wall between you and the American people who you were sent here to serve. You were not sent here to foster your political career. You were here to serve us. And it's extremely upsetting that nothing is getting done and the American public is being ignored. Approve extended benefits and create jobs, but the jobs you must create are real jobs that Americans can live on. Thank you.
Councilman Jan-Schakowsky.
Thank you. This is our 5th Witness Wednesday. In that time, another 360,000 plus people have lost their jobs as we've been back here week after week. As you can see, we're heading toward 3.4 million Americans who have lost their emergency unemployment benefits. Every 8 seconds, another American loses benefits. You can see how this young man is changing the poster, and that represents another person, another real story. And that 3.3 million and counting includes a disproportionately high number of older Americans who often have trouble finding work as they age. We have to act now to renew unemployment insurance. We cannot leave for this August recess another 4 weeks, each of which means 72,000 people lose their unemployment insurance benefits. And I want to emphasize that even if these stories don't break your heart as they do mine, just look at the economy. It is a net benefit to our economy. More money is raised than it costs in emergency unemployment insurance benefits because people will have money in their pockets to pay for their electricity bill, to pay for their water to be kept on, to pay for their mortgages. And here's the story of Charlene. She's from my district in Chicago, and Charlene says, on June 11th, 2013, the company for which I had worked for 29 years closed with 1 day's notice. No severance pay, no 401k. I began living off of my little savings. My savings has been totally depleted since the end of January 2014. I am now 65 years old. It is hard to find work at my age, and I can't get Social Security until I turn 66. I have worked since age 16. Never have I had to use unemployment before this. My bills are so high now. My credit is in default without toppling late fees. I've received shut-off notices on my gas and electric. My car note is way behind. I have no gas to put in the car to look for another job. It is inhumane to have to live like this, not knowing what's going to happen to you. Speaker Boehner, all you have to do is give us a vote to renew unemployment insurance for Charlene and millions like her without any further delay.
Thank you. Karen Friedman, Pension Rights Center.
Oh, okay. Let me just say something. I made a mistake. I said so many people had lost their jobs, they've lost their unemployment insurance benefits. Thank you.
That's what I heard. Okay. I heard it.
Hi, everyone. I'm delighted to be here today. Thank you, Catherine, and all the leaders of Congress for your hard work. I'm Karen Friedman. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Pension Rights Center, and we're a national consumer organization dedicated to promoting and protecting the retirement security of workers, retirees, and their families. I'm honored to participate today because you know what? When working people, hard-working people all over the country fall on hard times and they can't get unemployment benefits, where do they turn? Well, the first place that they often turn and they have to resort to is taking money out of their 401k accounts, as you've heard story after story today. We at the Pension Rights Center hear about this every single day. But if folks have to use up their retirement money today, and they're using their 401k money to pay their bills today, then what are they going to do tomorrow? So I want to tell you a story from Janet. Janet is from Southbound Brook, New Jersey, and her story tells it all. She says, I turned 59 last November and I lost my job of 14 years in December 2013. I'd worked my way up the ranks from data entry to senior customer service representative. I earn that money. I'm a single parent, and my youngest son is 16, entering his junior year of high school this coming September. My adult daughter and her 2 children have just moved in with me. I'm currently struggling just to hold my head above water. But when my unemployment benefits ended in June, I had to borrow against my 401k plan to float my sinking ship. Honestly, I don't know how long it will be before we officially go under, since it's my salary that was the mainstay of the family. When my children were younger, I raised them without their dad. I worked up to 3 jobs at a time, and I sold my car just to make ends meet in order to stay off the welfare rolls. This time, I don't know how this will play out for us. So I want to say to you, Janet, and all the people we've heard from today, we hear you and we stand with you.
Thank you. Congressman Cicilline.
Good afternoon. I want to begin by thanking Catherine and all the advocates who are here, and thank my colleagues who are part of this effort, and particularly thank Congressman Kildee, who has organized today's event. My home state of Rhode Island still has the highest unemployment rate in the entire country. And for thousands of unemployed Rhode Islanders, renewing unemployment insurance is an urgent priority. Many of us in the Congress have worked hard. There's a bipartisan bill that's been introduced. We have a discharge petition. We've sent a letter to the majority leader-elect, Kevin McCarthy, asking him to meet so we can discuss a plan to move forward to renew unemployment benefits. But it's very clear to many of us that unemployed people have become invisible to the Republican leadership. They're just not a priority. And so Witness Wednesday is a way to raise the voices of unemployed Americans in an effort to change their mind and make them realize that what they're doing really hurts families and hurts individuals all across this country. Earlier this year, I launched something called Faces of the Unemployed, which is actual photographs of residents in my district who have shared their stories so that people can walk by the hallway and see faces of people whose lives have been impacted by our failure to extend unemployment benefits, to put a face on this incredible crisis. Millions of Americans have lost their unemployment, and the impact on them and their families has been devastating. And I'd like to take a moment to share a story of Patricia from Newport, Rhode Island, one of my constituents, who's an unemployed senior and part of the project of Faces of the Unemployed. She wrote, I'm 61 years old. I lost my job in May of 2013. At first, I was able to keep my head above water while I looked for a job. But then in December, I lost my unemployment, like millions of others. My daughter has been able to pay half our rent, and the management company of our community was understanding, but now they won't wait any longer. We went to court yesterday for eviction. Now without my retro unemployment, there's no money to pay the first month's rent and security on another place. We're in a terrible situation. I've applied for many jobs and don't even get called for an interview. Besides living in Rhode Island with one of the highest unemployment rates in the country, I know I'm facing age discrimination like so many other people my age. I try to have hope that Congress will do the right thing and reinstate the emergency unemployment with retro benefits, and they'll pass a real jobs bill that will help all Americans. This is an emergency. Along with losing everything we've worked so hard for, we're losing our mental and physical health. Please give us the ability to get back on our feet, continue to be productive Americans, and support our country the way we always have. And so that is the voice of Patricia, and to Patricia I say, we hear your story, we'll continue to fight and do everything we can and to persuade the leadership of this chamber behind me to extend unemployment benefits. Thank you.
Richard Fiesta, the Alliance for Retired Americans.
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Fiesta. I'm Executive Director of the Alliance for Retired Americans. We're a national grassroots advocacy group across the country advocating for strong social insurance programs like Social Security, Medicare, and unemployment compensation. There's a big difference between being retired because you're ready to retire and being retired because you can't find work. And unfortunately, older workers share the pain just like younger workers do, but frequently have more issues to deal with than an average worker who may be a few years younger. Older job seekers face longer periods of unemployment, oftentimes on average now more than a year. Older workers who are unemployed oftentimes have higher medical costs that they have problems trying to afford as well. And oftentimes too, they have a sick family member, their own parent, or someone in their own family that they need to take care of. And time is shorter for them to make up trying to earn their guaranteed Social Security benefits as well before they reach retirement. So the story I'm going to read today comes from Gail in Nesquehoning, Pennsylvania. Gail writes, after 24 years of working for the same company, my position was eliminated in August 2013 for economic reasons. My 26 weeks of unemployment were exhausted on March 1st, 2014, with no emergency unemployment benefits available. I was the primary wage earner when I lost my job, and I've now been out of work for 7 months. I'm 57 years old and have had a very difficult time finding a job. I've submitted over 100 applications for which I am more than qualified to perform, and I have not even had one call for an interview. I still have bills to pay, including the mortgage, the car payment, taxes, insurance. My savings are being depleted daily, and they will soon run out. Please pass emergency unemployment so those of us 50 plus would have a little more time to hopefully secure a job. It's not easy for us older Americans, as most companies just trash our applications. We worked hard all of our lives for our families, our homes, paying taxes, and now when we need our country to lend us a temporary helping hand, we're being ignored, and oftentimes foreign interests are being put ahead of our needs at home right here in the USA. We are proud working Americans who are desperately looking for a job, not a handout. We hear you, Gail, and today we stand in witness with you.
Congresswoman Titus from Nevada. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Here we are at yet another Witness Wednesday, and what a shame it is that we have to come out and bear witness to the fact that government won't act. We should be bearing witness to a celebration that government is doing what it's supposed to help those brave Americans who are struggling every day because they want to work and just can't find a job. They just need a little help paying the rent, making a car payment, putting gas in the car, putting a meal on the table for their children so that they can get back into the economic system, and we can't seem to make that happen. I want to thank those brave people for getting up every morning and doing the right thing and for being brave enough to tell their story. I thank our advocates for doing all they can to help these folks, you for helping us tell the story, and my colleagues in Congress. We have introduced bills, we have signed discharge petitions, we have called on the leadership, and we'll continue to do that because we do hear these stories, and we want the Republicans to hear them as well and to hear our voices loud and clear. I want to share a story with another older American who has found it hard to get a job, partly because of age as well. This is Scott's story, who lives in my district in Las Vegas. I'm currently without, I'm currently without gas, a phone, car insurance, and power. I'm sorry. My water will be shut off the end of this week. I haven't been able to buy groceries for over 2 months now, and I have just a few canned goods, some old stale crackers, and peanut butter that a friend brought over. I'm 57 years old and have worked all my life. But over the last 2 years, I've been struggling with blood clots and skin cancer. As a result, it's been hard for me to find work with my age, my health, and now bad credit all working against me. I have applied at about 15 places per week until they shut my power off. Now I can't be called back, nor can I drive because I couldn't keep my car insurance up. Thank you. I haven't made a payment on my home in almost 2 years, and I'm just wondering when they're going to throw me out. I burned through any savings I had put together, and I have little left at all. I never ever would have believed that my own country would hang me out to dry like this. Find a way to help us, please, and do it now before you all take another vacation. I haven't had a vacation in 15 years. Please help us save ourselves. Scott, we hear you and we stand with you. We want to help you save yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick Sloan, Union of the Unemployed.
Thanks, Kate. My name's Rick Sloan. I run UCubed, the Union of Unemployed. UCubed has 226,000 Facebook friends, and they have 65 million of their own friends. We make them laugh, we make them angry. We even make them coffee in the morning, virtually of course. But mostly, we make them see that they're not alone, that they're not powerless, that their votes can change, have changed, and will change America's policies and politics. Why am I so passionate about the unemployed? In 1984, I ran for Congress against John Kasich and lost badly in the Reagan landslide. I spent 10 months looking for work, so I know what it feels like to wake up every morning and ask, will this agony ever end? That's how Todd in Paola, Kansas feels. I will give you the short version of my story, he wrote. I've been unemployed since October 2010. I have lost everything I worked for in my life. I had to sell everything I own just to make ends meet, to pay the bills, and put food on the table. I don't have savings or retirement left. It's all gone. I lost my unemployment in October of 2012 and haven't had any income since then. I'm 55, and my 88-year-old father and I live together. We're just surviving on his little Social Security check. Since I've been unemployed, my father has been through cancer and heart surgery. I can't afford to get sick because I don't have any health insurance, not to mention that I have nerve damage in my back. I've always been an honest, hardworking, ethical person my entire life. I have spent my life always helping people. I'm sick and tired of our government and the business world treating the unemployed, especially the long-term unemployed, like we have the plague. We didn't create this unemployment crisis, and we sure don't deserve to be disrespected and demoralized like we have been. The unemployed want jobs, not handouts. The problem is, if our country isn't going to create the jobs we need, then our government and the business world better figure out something real soon to help the unemployed. We hear you, Todd. We stand with you.
Two more readers, two more stories. Joel Sarfati, 40 plus of Greater Washington.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joel Sarfati. I'm the Executive Director of 40 Plus of Greater Washington. We're an all-volunteer, not-for-profit who for the past 61 years has been helping older professionals and managers seek employment. Each of us has experienced the loneliness and pain of being unemployed. The current recession has impacted us probably more than any other in the history of our organization. The twin evils of being old and being unemployed for more than a year has significantly reduced the likelihood of many of us from landing a job that we would need and like. With that in mind, I would like to share with you a story from one of our members from Montgomery County, Maryland. I'm 64 years old and one of the hundreds of thousands who must continue to look for work. I stopped receiving extended unemployment benefits this past December. I served my country for 10 years in the U.S. Navy, both on active and reserve duty. Even with a bachelor's and master's degree in highly technical fields, it has become harder and harder to find work during this recession. I was laid off in 2011, along with a few others throughout the organization I was with, after 15 years of loyal and hardworking support to the Federal Aviation Administration with many major contractors and subcontractors. I have now been actively seeking work in my current or any recently acquired specialty for almost 15 months, applying for more than 100 jobs this year alone with only 2 interviews and not 1 request for employment. I have applied for part-time, full-time, contract, freelance, and temporary positions with no luck. Over the past 2 years, I've sought help from many job search organizations such as 40 Plus, such as the Jewish Social Service Agency, the Jewish Council for Aging, and many other faith-based organizations in the Washington metropolitan area. I've looked for help every single place possible. Alumni associations, friends, colleagues who have tried to assist me in my job search. For even when we were fortunate enough to have unemployment insurance, our total family income was less than half of what I was earning while I was working full time. My wife and I barely were able to make ends meet by cutting back on all our cutting back to bare essentials. Without the extended unemployment benefits, our income now is less than 1/3 that we had previously. Every month, money has to be transferred from what is remaining in our small IRA accounts, which is intended obviously for our retirement. There is no money for additional training other than tuition-free online programs. We cannot even sell our home because there is no money to handle the needed repairs. At this point, I have to contemplate and plan to take Social Security much earlier than I expected. If I don't find at least a bare minimum wage position soon, I'm not sure exactly what I'll be doing. We hear you, we stand with you. Thank you very much.
And Aaron Russ, American Youth Policy Forum.
Good afternoon. My name is Aaron Russ. I'm with the American Youth Policy Forum. We're a national nonpartisan convener, and we're focused on improving education and employment opportunities for young people in the United States, especially the most disadvantaged. I'm here today to bring attention to the millions of youth ages 16 to 24 who are unemployed. These young people are willing and able to work, but often face barriers to securing a job with a decent wage. Many of them have been disconnected from opportunity because they lack academic credentials, or they've come into contact with the juvenile justice system, or they've spent time in foster care. And I'd like to share one such story from Amber in New Haven, Connecticut. Amber says, "I am 2 weeks from being homeless. I haven't had a dime to pay bills for food or even to take care of my health. I am praying emergency unemployment benefits are extended so that I will be able to make my rent payment and maybe not get evicted. I was a foster child growing up, and I don't have anyone to lean on or ask for help. So I'm guessing that if this doesn't get extended, I will soon be in a shelter with nothing. We need this vote because we need to be able to live, not just get by. We need the government to step up and help the people here. We hear you, Amber, and we stand with you."
Okay. That's it for this 5th Witness Wednesday. We have a bill in the House. We have a bill in the Senate. We need a vote. Anything that you can do to put pressure on House leadership to take a vote on renewing unemployment benefits, we do it. And we will see you next week at our 6th Witness Wednesday. Thank you all for your leadership on this issue. We really appreciate